Hi everyone, welcome. It's our member spotlight at EEC Collective, and today we have the lovely Angela Daye. Angela's been with us. We've probably known you about 4 years, going on 5 years, something like that. Four or
Well,
five.
only about three actually.
Is it only 3 years? My God, it feels longer.
Yeah.
It feels like forever.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. Who knows?
Oh dear. I'll get my
Uh-oh.
coat.
And go. Yes, yeah. Angela's been with EEC in our various guises along the way, where we've been East End Connections and Glasgow EEC, and now we're EEC Collective. And so it's great having Angela on board. But Angela, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself. But Angela has various strings to her bow, and every time you speak to her, there's something new that I learn about her every time. So I'll let Angela tell you a bit about herself and how you actually got to where you are now.
Oh, and how long have I got? 15 seconds as usual. Yeah.
Yeah, and go.
Yeah. So I'm Angela. My background is very varied and very here, there, and everywhere, really, I suppose. And I think that's what I love about life is that you can come from whatever background and move on to do different things. So, way back when, I studied at university in maths and then IT, so nothing like what I do now. I went on and worked in financial services for about 16 years. And that was from working in pensions to actuarial roles to facilities management to IT to software to solutions, loads of different things. And then having been told to go away and paid a lot of money to do it twice, aka redundancy, I figured the second time round, rather than jumping back in and going and doing what I did before, I was going to broaden my horizons slightly. And I was given 13 months notice, which is a
That's a long
considerable
time.
amount of time.
Mm.
And it was interesting because it was just as I was being told they were closing down our site and that was why our roles were going. I'd signed an kinesiology course. So my first course was the weekend after I'd been told I was being made redundant. So I thought, okay, I was doing this purely out of nosiness and to develop myself further, but maybe there's something to this. And alongside that, while I was working, I was also studying evening classes, photography modules. So I kind of got to that point was I was really enjoying it, and I then started taking holidays to go and do the daytime classes just because why not, right?
Mhm.
And doing all that kind of stuff. And towards the end of the time in the job, I'd already done my HNC, got a much better grade than I expected to, and thought, well, I can't stop here, and continued on. So I qualified about 6 months after I finished my job with my HND in photography. And I also did the same with the kinesiology. By the time I'd finished the job, I was a student practitioner, which meant, funnily enough, I could ask for donations, but I wasn't allowed to charge people.
All right.
So it's a bit of a kind of a strange situation, but
Mm-hmm.
I am now qualified, thankfully, and so I can now say this is the charge, which is always
Always
helpful.
it's a good thing for as in a business,
It
definitely.
does help. It does
Uh,
help, and then you've got a rough idea of what people are going to pay you, rather than just saying, "Well, you can give me this much if you like." So yeah, so that's been really helpful. So yeah, so I launched the business in 2018,
mm-hmm.
and I launched it under one name and then changed it around and played around with it. So I've now got two businesses that I'm actively working on. One is Inner Pathways, which is the therapy side of things, and one is a day in your life photography, which is brand photography and headshots. So, as you may be aware, I did talk about that a lot when I came to EEC, but I have switched over now to predominantly focus on inner pathways. And because kinesiology is one of those words that you can't pronounce it, don't know what it means, and it's all a bit woo-woo, I thought, well, let's add some more things into the mix. So throughout 2020, starting out face to face, it didn't end that way, obviously. I did work through a diploma in transformational coaching and in hypnotherapy, so I'm now bringing that into the mix as well. So
Okay.
it's a little bit more rounded. But my theory behind that was that hypnotherapy and coaching might be an easier initial sell, and to get people to understand and want to be curious to see what
Mm-hmm.
it is and come and try it.
Brilliant.
Is
And
that
I
is that
know,
quick enough?
no, that's absolutely fine. And you know that when we used to meet up at the events for EEC at the Drygate, and I used to try and pronounce kinesiology, and I could not. It took me so long. It took me about a year, I think, to pronounce it, and I just hope I am still pronouncing it. Kinesiology.
You are. I do work with someone. She says I practice every time before I come on the call with you, and then when I get there, I can't do it. So the easy way to remember is kin. So just the KIN part. Easy. Ology. Put it all together, and you've got kinesiology.
Brilliant. That would probably confuse me even more, to be honest.
We would do that then. You've got it. It's fine.
What do you enjoy most about the kinesiology side? What's really drawn you to that?
So my reason for even starting the kinesiology was that I went for it myself as a client. And my friend introduced me to it, and I thought, that sounds a bit odd. Don't know what you're on about here. That sounds just bizarre. And I went through a bit of a rough patch, and she says, right, before you go at the doctors and get signed off work with stress and depression or whatever else may come up, give it a try. Just be open and give it a try. So I did, and I then never actually had to go to the doctors. I never got the time signed off with stress at that point in time. And life just got better. So for me, it was really small, subtle shifts. What I love is when I'm working with my clients and they get huge shifts. And I think it's that way as well, that sometimes they don't even realise they've had the shifts. So they come to me with this kind of shopping list of all the stuff that they want to work on. And a lot of the times they come in with one thing, and by the time we've had the conversation, it's a shopping list. And I think I had a really recent one where it was a really big shopping list, and they came back for their second session. I said, okay, so how are you? What are we working on today? They kind of gave me 2 or 3 things. So I then went through their shopping list from last time and said, so what about this? And what about this? And what about... Did I say that? I don't remember that. That's not true for me anymore. So it's actually, we'd cleared a whole pile of stuff. But because of the way our brains work, once we've got rid of the rubbish, we don't dwell on it, which is brilliant, but not always great if you don't then reflect. So that's what I love, is the reflection back to then have people say, actually, that's amazing, that worked, that's gone, I don't have that concern anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you do have that thing of sometimes you easily forget that when you've had problems, I mean, at the time when you're going through it at that time, you can't see past it. But then once you have, it's a distant memory and it is forgotten about. So yeah, it's good to sort of, review that and see, how you have got past that and,
absolutely
the benefits from that.
Yeah, and a really silly example of that is like, when was the last time you had toothache? Where in your mouth was it? What did it actually feel? So I know that I had dental work done on this side of my mouth. And I know I've had it on both sides, but at the time I was having the pain, not that long ago, it was excruciating. But I don't genuinely remember, was it top, was it bottom, and where it was and how the pain felt. So once the pain's gone, it's gone. Isn't that what they say as to why people have more than one child? The pain goes.
I don't have any.
But in my case. That too.
You hear about other people's and you go, nah, not for me. I'll live through your pain without the pain myself. But yeah, it's true. You do forget very quickly. At the time, you can't think, oh, I can never see past this. But
because it's the only thing in front of your face. But once it's to your side or behind you, you can't see it anymore because you've moved beyond.
No, that's brilliant. So who needs your services? What kind of things is it that you're actually helping to unblock or move past? Or
so this is when I'm supposed to not say everybody.
Yes, don't say everybody.
I love working with teenagers, and I know that teenagers just now are going through a lot of stuff. Aren't we all? But I know a lot of teenagers just now are going through stuff with the whole will they, won't they with exams, what's going to happen with university, when I get to university, what's that going to look like? All of these concerns are huge just now, and the percentage of kids going through and facing and being diagnosed with anxiety just now is alarming. So I love working with teenagers. I do a lot of volunteer work as well. So if I can work with teenagers to help them through that process of anxiety and that process of developing and understanding who they are as human beings, then that's my happy space. On top of that, I kind of work with people who were like me when I needed it. So a little bit stuck, know that I want to move forward and want to achieve something, but just don't know quite how to get there. And that could come along with aches and pains and everything else. And a lot of times you find that if you don't deal with what's going on psychologically, it then becomes a physical situation. So I want to work with people before it gets to the physical.
Mm-hmm.
I can help them out when it gets to physical as well, but I'd love to work with them before it gets there, because how much more achievable and can your goals and your dreams be if you catch it quickly before it crumbles?
Yeah, it gets too far down the road and it's harder to,
It
yeah.
takes a lot longer
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
fix and solve the condition and the challenges if you leave it to fester for 6 months, a year,
And
whatever.
it could then result in other things on the back of that, which, yeah, so it could be the sort of rolling effect of the ball starting off as a tennis ball and ending up the size of a
Yeah.
boulder kind of thing.
And I think at that point that I kind of liken it to your car getting a service. You go and take your car for a service or an MOT once a year. And with the MOT, whether you think it needs it or not, you go for the MOT and you might need new light bulbs or new wiper blades or whatever else. But if you didn't go and get those checkups done and you didn't go and get the servicing done and changing the oils and all the rest of it, what state would your car be in 5 years down the line?
Mm.
So mentally, emotionally, and physically, what do we do for our bodies and our minds to make sure that we're doing what we do for our car?
Yeah, that's very true. I think we don't tend to, I think as human beings, we don't put ourselves first. We put possessions first, we put everything else first, but we don't actually put ourselves. And then if we're not here, what's going to happen? You can't drive your car. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so
but you also can't go and buy a new body in 5 years' time because you've let your car go to rack and ruin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You've only got the one body and the one brain. We've got to take care of it, right?
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good point actually, and it's something I don't think a lot of us actually. I think we take for granted what we have.
We don't notice anything's wrong with it until something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's that way with your car. If you're going to go and regularly get the oil changed and regularly get your brakes and your
it
tires
runs
and everything else
smoothly.
sorted, it runs smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great when it runs smooth. And it probably breaks down less because you're taking that time to maintain it.
Mm-hmm. I can see a post coming up on your newsletter very soon. Write that down.
I've got to write it tonight.
Here's your content already sorted.
You better send me the link quick after the meeting.
Yeah. Remind me what I said. What was the most obscure thing that you've done that you've worked on?
Oh,
And I'm throwing this
obscure.
in because I didn't give you this. I didn't give you
No, you
pre-warning on this.
you didn't pre-warn me on this one.
I'm trying to catch it. I was just thinking about it. I was just thinking, I wonder what your most obscure thing, and I think it just gives a little bit of context into people as to what's the type of things that they need to come to you for. What is it that's
Okay, a really obscure one. So a lot of people know of kinesiology because a lot of people use it for allergies. It's not something I sell or make a big song and dance about, other than when it comes to hay fever season when I look for my snot monsters. Um, but so allergies are an interesting one, but your body's got tolerance levels to everything. So I did have a client came to me and she was having problems with just day-to-day stuff going on. And what came up for her, because the way kinesiology works, I tune into the body gives me the responses. And yes, it does sound a bit woo-woo, but come and experience it and you'll understand what's going on. So basically, what came up for her was coffee, chocolate, and red wine.
Hmm.
And she said, "Don't take me off them. Don't tell me I can't have these things." It's like, I don't like taking people off things. I'd rather fix the issue and get you to a point where you're not having a concern with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of played around with it. So I did have to take her off it all for a week or two. And then we came back and we readdressed it and we reassessed it. And what we've worked out is if she wants wine, she can have coffee or chocolate, not both. So if she knows that day she wants a glass of wine, she's got to choose which is more important, chocolate or coffee.
Okay.
And if she does that, then she doesn't end up all night. She doesn't end up with the stomach pains. She doesn't end up with the migraines or whatever else was coming up for her.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you want coffee, then you got to choose chocolate or white. So she could only ever have 2 of the 3 in one day.
Okay.
How bizarrely obscure is that? But you know what? She's done it and it's working for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that to me is same with diets. It's not about let's take stuff out and restrict what you can eat. Let's actually work for your body to be able to cope with it again.
Adapt to it. And for me, it's portion control. Portion control goes out the window.
I'm sure we can have a look at that too.
We go, yeah, we're going to do portion control. It lasts a day, and then it's like, oh, I'm hungry. Let's have more.
Don't make me go into coach mode.
Don't get her on her soapbox. She'll never get off it.
My soapbox is quite comfy, thanks.
Oh, brilliant. So in the business, running a small business, I mean, we all know how tough it is. What is the toughest thing of being a business owner, an independent business owner?
Can I pick 2?
Oh, I don't know. Go on then.
So for me, my 2 is I'm on my own. I'm doing it by myself. And the first couple of years, I mean, this is what, year 3, I think. I'm doing it by myself, and my challenge is to know when to ask for help and to know when to say, that's not my strong suit. Yes, I can do it, but it would be so much easier to get somebody else to do that for me. So actually outsourcing, but also networking, because I'm on my own. I need to have that interaction. I'm a huge extrovert, so thankfully Zoom, Remo, whatever platform we're using with the video conversations, that's fueled me for the last year. And I've not missed as much face to face because I've still had this as a great tool. So I think for me that the key thing is that fact that I'm on my own, and it's quite frustrating, it's quite lonely, it can be quite isolating. So having a network of people, and whether that network of people are just there for a cheesy chat Friday, or they're there for, actually, you're great at marketing, can you do this for me? And outsourcing stuff, that to me is hugely, hugely important. And I forgot what my second one was.
It'll come to you. Yeah, I know it'll come to you, definitely.
Eventually.
Yeah.
There was me asking for 2 and then forgetting them. That's great, isn't it?
That's all right. It's called Alzheimer's.
I'm not there yet.
No, you're not. You're definitely not there. I tell you, I am just now. I do things, and within a second, I've completely forgotten what I've done. But
I had my first walked out the room into the other room thinking, why did I come? What have I gone for? that had that last week, so I had to message my brother and say, oh no, this is happening.
It is a thing, tell you. It is a thing, definitely. That's brilliant. So with the EC, I mean, I think you've been coming along and you've seen us in different guises on there. What's the best thing that you get out of EEC? Is it the people that are there?
Absolutely. I think it's that bunch of colleagues that you would, if you were in a 9-to-5 office job, it's the colleagues that to bounce ideas off of, to have conversation, to just take that step away from the desk for your water cooler moment. And that, to me, that's your Fridays are spot on for that. And it is just that way of, I don't need to sit here telling everybody how awesome I am in my businesses. I can sit and talk about what we watched on telly this week. I can have that conversation about books, about random other stuff that's going on, or not, as the case may be, over the last year.
Yeah.
But it is that opportunity to just down tools for an hour and just breathe and have great conversations with some great people, because you never know who's going to show up. There's some people that you just sit there going, oh, I really hope they're coming, because the banter last week was brilliant. But it's never replicated either, because you never know who's going to be on your table. I don't always like it when you press the shuffle button.
No, I know that.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like, oh, I was in the middle of a sentence.
But then the perfect thing about Remo is you just go back to that person.
Yeah, but we're all goody two shoes, and we think, well, Fiona's moved us, so we're not allowed to move again.
No, I do say that you can. The thing is, sometimes when people are new to the platform and they get a bit scared and they might be sitting on a table and they might not be enjoying the conversation.
100%.
And I'll sit and look at it and I see people that are staying on the same tables and I think, right, okay, let's do a little shuffle on this. But then I do say, if you're in the middle of a conversation, go back to it. And the guys last week did that because it was, or 2 weeks ago, they were like, oh, we were in the middle of a conversation, so we'll go back. And that's the benefit of it. Yeah. If you don't like where you are, just move.
And actually, I think that's one of the key wonderfulnesses of Remo is the fact that you're not chucked into a breakout room where you're then stuck and you're trapped and they've locked the doors. It does still have that feel of networking where you can stand up and walk off and say, do you know what? I really need to speak to that person over there. Mm-hmm. Or actually, this conversation's draining my energy.
Mm-hmm. This guy's talking about football, and I'm like, I am not interested.
I think I was very vocal the week they were talking about football, and I said, if you're going to continue with this conversation, I'm leaving, and they did, so I left.
But you ended up going back.
Well, no, because so the next table I went to, they were all talking about business. I was like, it's Friday, we don't do business chat on Friday. So I moved again, and then so we just, but that's the benefit of it, isn't it? You just move around and have a chat and see who's there. So that's what I love about the Fridays. And for other meetings, it's great to have that one-to-one interaction. So I must admit, and I'm going to confession time, if it's somebody I know, we have a blether for 2 minutes.
That's fine.
If it's somebody I don't know, we do actually do the proper thing as to what you tell us on the little messages that come up on the screen. So yeah, it's just great because you actually get that opportunity to have that one-to-one time with someone to decide, do I want to have a coffee chat with them separately, or was that enough for now? Because actually I'm not seeing any synergies at this stage as to what we could help each other with.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, even then, sometimes just I have seen me having coffee chats with people that I don't really see synergy, but they've asked for a meeting, and I go, yeah, fine. And I think it's about digging deep, and then
absolutely.
And it's usually at the end of the conversation. So you've maybe chatted to them for say 25 minutes, then the last 5 minutes they'll say something. You go, oh my God, I can so help you with that. I can introduce you to such and such. I can introduce you to them, and it's just getting the right words out and asking the right questions
100%.
or educating them properly as to what it is. Yeah. And I think that thing we do tend to lack is, we're asking for help, but sometimes we're not asking for the right connections that you're looking for, because networking is not about who you're with, it's about who they know.
Absolutely. And I think it's that point as well that you don't always know what it is you're looking for, but having a conversation with the right person can just unlock that block and think, actually, I do need help with that, or I hadn't thought of that concept, or I'd missed that piece. Yeah. Who can you put me in touch with that can help me with that? So I think those are definitely key things, and that's why I said that I might not see a synergy right now,
but maybe later on.
There might be the next time we're on a networking call or we're in a cheesy chat Friday and we're talking about something, you're like, you know what, actually, there is something there that I want to pick at and have a conversation on. Because you never know until you actually have those conversations. So that's what I used to love about your snookums. You never knew what folk were going to come out with. And then you then think, I've done that as well. Or I know someone and I've got a story there and I'd love to have a conversation with you about that, which then develops and builds. Because as we all know, networking meetings are only step one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is just your first step, definitely. You've still got a whole rung to go up there. But yeah, we need to bring back the snookums. And for those of you who are watching and don't know what a snookum is, it's something nobody knows about me. And when we used to do them, people will go, I don't have anything. But as they're listening to other people, they're like, it jogs memories. And it's like that. Things are at the back of your memory. You can't remember everything. And when you're old like me, then you can never remember anything.
Don't get me started on neuroscience. I've been training neuroscience last year.
Move that soapbox away from her. That's for another conversation. Definitely. So if you had an ask, what would it be?
I suppose it's that key thing of, if you don't have someone working with you for your mental and physical health and well-being, find someone. Doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to just be me. It can be a range of people. But yeah, I think it is that key thing of, if you are not looking after and maintaining your health and mental well-being, find someone for the journey to come along with you for that journey. Yeah.
And definitely like having the and I think you've teamed up with somebody, haven't you, on the group? Did you?
Yeah,
teamed up
so
with someone?
I'm doing some accountability sessions with one of the other girls in the group who is in well-being as well. So I think that's a thing. And actually, I think on last week's networking call, I did say, when you said what was my ask, it was that find the right mental health people to surround yourself with. Have that company for the journey. That's my latest tagline, is company for your journey, because I'm here to facilitate. I'm not here to fix things for people, but I want to be here to help people get to where they want to get to. And I think that's the same. There's other people on EEC who are in that space. And I think it is a case of, if I'm not the right person, go to one of them, or go to all of us and get what you need from different places. It's like when you go to a buffet, you're not just going to go for one dish. You're going to pick things from everywhere and have a nice big plate full. Pick the things that work for you and give you the energy that you need to be who you need to be.
Yeah, and in your car analogy, it's not the same person that fixes every part of your car. There's different people fix different parts. Yeah,
exactly.
So get yourselves booked in for your MOTs and do a bit of a spring clean.
Absolutely, a valley. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go. Watch out for Angela's newsletter. You'll find it on there. So where do we find you, Angela?
So innerpathways.co.uk is the website, and I am there. I'm quite easily, readily accessible. Or on LinkedIn. It's the LinkedIn URL /ASDAYE. My initials AS and then my surname Daye. And you can find me on LinkedIn, or just search for my name. I think that works too.
Or contact me and I'll put you in touch with Angela. But
yeah, you can do that too.
We'll put the links in here anyway.
Awesome.
But so get in touch with Angela, get yourself an MOT and a spring clean.
Well, we are in spring now, aren't we? So that works.
Bring your little cloths along with you and get
that's a whole other thing.
Oh, it's great talking to you, Angela. And we'll see you probably at Cheesy Chat this Friday because it's Easter.
Oh no, that's my weekend ruined.
I know. But we'll see at a future date. So thanks for coming along and appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon. Bye.